Good morning, Your Excellency, dear friends, dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. It's my honor to welcome you to the new event that the ATN is organizing in cooperation with Embraer and is focusing about the operation side of the air transport industry. And this year's theme for the first edition is Achieving Operational Excellence for Everyone. Operational excellence in airline and airport operation involves the relentless focus on improving efficiency, reliability, and customer satisfaction. Optimizing flight schedule, dynamic forecasting, streamlined ground operation create an environment where delays are minimized and disruptions are limited. Data analytics, predictive maintenance, and improved resource allocation help ensure operation planning is robust and decision-making is driven by data rather than past experience, which provides limited guidance for the future. A culture of continuous improvement is much needed for sustainable success throughout the operation cycle. Questions such as, is the industry already implementing these tools? Do they remain buzzwords at the board meeting or a promotional event? Will be answered by a high-level speaker of today's events, and I would like to thank our partner, Embraer, for this event and the high-level speakers that are here today. And we're going to witness a unique experience. You know that ATN is organizing different events around the globe, but I'm really proud today that for the first time we involved a real bird and real aircraft, and we have the opportunity to fly with this E2 this afternoon to Skiathos, and I need to thank and give a round of applause to Embraer for making it happen, and all the team of Embraer worked together last year or 1 year to make it happen. Thank you for everyone to be here, and thank you Embraer. Now it is my real privilege and honor to invite a very good friend, but more importantly, the governor of the Civil Aviation Authority of Greece, Dr. Christos Tsipras, to welcome Christos, the floor is yours.
Good morning, esteemed guests, ladies and gentlemen, and today I welcome you all to the Oxford of 2024. This meeting provides an excellent opportunity for us to exchange ideas and identify areas of cooperation to support the industry building resilience for the future. Our shared commitment, cooperation and collaboration will be a critical factor in ensuring the long-term success of aviation. Aviation has long been a symbol of progress and human safety. Aviation revolutionized the way we travel, we do business, and we interact with each other. However, this comes with several multifaceted and interrelated challenges, including social, environmental, and economic aspects. Collaboration is the key to achieving our shared goals, as we all share the same vision for a balanced, resilient, and responsible future for civil aviation. It is acknowledged that strong partnership and collaboration are critical to ensuring the long-term sustainability of the aviation industry. By working together and sharing information and good practices, we develop and implement effective strategies to support the development of air travel, so as to ensure the growth of the aviation industry for the benefit of the economies and the citizens. This perspective requires a holistic approach. By embracing the independent dimension of social, environmental, and economic sustainability, we strive to build a balanced and resilient aviation industry in favor of the society. It is vital to balance the need for economic growth with limiting the negative impact of aviation on the environment, and maintaining a fair and trustworthy social framework. This approach is needed to ensure the emergence of a truly sustainable sector that continues to grow and provide global benefits in terms of economic growth and territorial cohesion. By working collectively, maintaining regular contact, identifying problems, designing and implementing ways to solve them, with the objective of reaching, building and achieving holistic social, environmental and economic sustainability, we aim to shape a resilient, responsible and competitive civil aviation industry that overcomes the challenges it faces, help citizens reap the benefit of the connectivity with aviation brings, and contributes to a better future. In an environment where global air traffic is constantly increasing, the industry has to face many challenges, such as the increased demand for capacity and the associated challenges in a proactive and efficient way. Data-driven decision-making is a key factor in successful management, especially in a dynamic sector such as civil aviation. A commitment to excellence in all the fields involved is founding principle in ACAA. With its crucial regulatory and supervisory role, ACAA encourages a dialogue between the stakeholders on an effective way to achieve operational excellence, considering, of course, the requirement for sustainability and resilience innovation within the safety objectives set by EASA and the ACAA. Safety in air travel is our top priority, and we work towards with all our forces. Our common vision is a prosperous aviation sector centered on people and planet. Once again, I extend my warmest welcome to each and every one of you, and I look forward to the enriching discussions and fruitful collaborations that lie ahead. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Christo. And now it's my great honor and pleasure to invite His Excellency, the Ambassador of Brazil in Greece, His Excellency Paolo Roberto Camina del Castillos Franca. Please.
Thank you very much. Thank you, my dear friend Costas Diatru, for this invitation. I greet everybody. I greet the representatives of Embraer. It's an honor to be at the OPS Forum 2024 on this occasion, in which we will have the opportunity to experience travel on the Embraer 195 V2 aircraft, the beautiful island of Skiathos. Embraer, as I am sure you can imagine, is a source of great pride for all Brazilians. The company has been a leader in civil aviation, as well as in defense products for decades. The continuous expansion of its presence all over the world is a testament to the excellence of its brand. Let me tell you briefly something that happened when I was ambassador of Brazil in the Netherlands previously. It was 2022, and I received a call from a Dutch authority, from the Defense Ministry, saying that they had decided to buy the KC-390 aircraft that was competing at that time with Lockheed Martin product. And of course it was an honor and a great privilege to receive on first hand this information. And the authority said to me the decision was based on purely technical issues, characteristics. And he said to me at the end, it was the best aircraft, Mr. Ambassador. So this is a testament of the quality of Embraer. The aircraft that we will be flying on today, the E2, is versatile and fuel efficient. It is an ideal aircraft for developing better network connectivity, reducing fuel consumption, and achieving net zero emission goals. I'm very happy that we'll see it in action, as I believe that this aircraft would perfectly serve the needs of the world-class Greek tourism industry that attracts so many visitors every year. I see the presence of Embraer here as one of more demonstrations of the excellence of Greek-Brazilian bilateral relations, which have gone from strength to strength in recent times, including high-level visits of then Minister of Foreign Affairs Nikos Dendias to Brazil in the beginning of 2023, and of the Minister of External Relations of Brazil, Mauro Vieira, to Athens last June. In this context, demonstrated our mutual commitment to strengthening our trade and economic ties, but also the wide convergence of views on issues on the international agenda. I wish you all an excellent day of talks and flying. Thank you.
Muito obrigado, dear Ambassador. And now I have the pleasure to invite the three keynote one by one, the keynote addresses for today's Ops Forum. First with Fabio Gambo, is the Director General of Airport Service Association. Fabio, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Kostas. Maybe is it better like this? Thank you. I would stay here if you don't mind, Kostas. I think it's a little bit too far here. And good morning to everyone. Buen dia. Beautiful aircraft, E2. I am quite excited to be on board. And I discovered there was a new island. There was a new island in Greece that I didn't know of, Skiathos. I know it's a big miss from my side, but apparently it's a famous island. Some friends of mine have a house there, right? So operational efficiency. It doesn't come automatically to mind to look at this from the ground handling perspective. As you may know, or may not know, I represent ASA, the Airport Services Association, which represents the ground handlers worldwide. And for us, operational efficiency is not a question. It's obviously it's not a question, it's actually, it's a resultat. There's no other word. And I'm going to try to explain this with four aspects that we're trying to develop. First of all, we realized already a long time ago, I didn't invent that obviously, that you can't improve, it's going. It's okay, no worries.
You're doing a small bit.
Yeah, exactly. You can't improve, you can't measure. Okay, so you have to measure things. You have to make sure that you can quantify the thing that you're offering. What we've done is, for the first time in the history of ground handling, we've tried to really quantify all the incidents that we are at the origin of. Each time you're touching an aircraft, for instance, with your high loader, this is sometimes very little done. This can create a lot of issues for the company because it generates delays, costs, repairs, whatever. So we launched 2 years ago an initiative that is looking worldwide to try and measure all these incidents and accidents. Sometimes, unfortunately, there can be fatal accidents with people falling from height, for instance. And really try and organize this into a way that we can understand and improve. With it works?
That will be said.
Okay.
Don't move too much.
Oh, I try to. So that's the first thing that I think we've offered to our members worldwide, and we're quite proud of this instrument because it gives really the measure and the feeling of the impact that we have on the airlines operations. The second thing that we've tried to organize is a training passport, whereby if you've been trained in a company that has been audited, recognized as being part of this training passport, you do not have to retrain each time you go into a different company. And that's something relatively small to your eyes, but it's huge for ground handling because then it cuts costs and increase efficiency throughout the chain. And that is huge. And also, it brings much more interest to the blue collars and the people who are working in this industry because they know that they have a future. You don't have to, retrain each time they're training a company. And as we all know, in ground handling, the turnover is quite high, up to 80%. Meaning that over 100 people hired, 80 people at the end of the year would have left the company. So retrain all the new people, the 80 people that you have to keep rehired. The third thing is telematics. We've now conducted a partnership with a number of companies to make sure that we can have a clear understanding of the way that the ground surface equipment is being used, how many kilometers, how many hours a day are being used, and we can really track this everywhere in the world and understand if this is going up, if it's going down, and how this is being used. And then the fourth thing is more and more, and this is perhaps more to do with sustainability, but I think sustainability is also part of this discussion, is the enhanced ground surface equipments. More and more they are electric, not diesel or gasoline type of vehicles. And also they have devices that allow them and our people not to, for instance, touch aircraft, which is a real no-no, especially people from Embraer, I guess, but for everyone. And more we're trying to do this, making sure that we have the right partnerships with the vendors, GSC manufacturers, to make this happen. And even in some remote places where you would normally expect to find 50 years old equipment, now more and more. So we really putting ourselves, trying to really, force operational efficiency in the area, in the service area, and I think we're getting there. So we're really, glad to be part of this global effort. And to conclude, I would simply say, well, thank you all for being here. Thank you, Costas, for organizing this, and of course, thank you, Embraer, for this beautiful journey. Thank you.
Thank you, Fabio. My voice is loud, as you know, for years. Thank you for the contribution, and then I will later join you as we come back in the stage. Then Simon Hackard is our Director General in Canada that will deliver also his keynote address and cover the industry that is also critical part of the aviation industry. Don't forget, we have to work in cooperation. It's an aviation chain, everyone needs each other to be successful.
I may get more traditional. Also, I've never given a speech in front of a bar before, so this is a good one. Good morning, Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen. So, you're all aviation leaders. You're no strangers, actually, I think, to the trials and opportunities that lie ahead. And we've heard, front and centre of those is operational excellence. Something all of our organisations strive for. Efficient operations can help minimise delays, optimise use of resources, leading to cost savings, improving the overall passenger experience, which is what it's all about, by minimising disruption throughout the supply chain. Importantly though, it can also help us tackle a particular challenge I want to highlight that requires heightened attention all the time. And it's not just for our industry, but for the future of our planet, combating climate change. Now, the aviation industry has long been a symbol, I think, of human progress, enabling global commerce and connecting people. But with traffic levels soaring to new heights, reducing the environmental impact of aviation will require unprecedented levels of collaboration and innovation. Today, aviation accounts for around about 2 to 3% of global carbon emissions, but by 2050, that's expected to rise to as much as 22%. Many of you airline leaders in the room will be well aware of the measures you are already taking to cut carbon emissions, whether it's phasing in new fuel-efficient aircraft, carbon offsetting, examining the weight of everything on board your aircraft, all the way down to the weight of paper that gets used in the magazines, all of these measures play a massively important part. But the biggest gains will be made from some of the game-changing innovations on the horizon. We all know about SAF, which has the potential to reduce carbon emissions by up to 80%. Similar savings are purported to be made by electric, hybrid electric, and even hydrogen-powered aircraft, which Airbus apparently is slating to enter service by 2035, if you read the press. Now, vehicles like Embraer's state-of-the-art next generation, fantastic-looking airplane, will also help us set us on the pathway to a more sustainable future. But, as we all know, switching to biofuels or electrification costs more and may take decades to get there. So what can we do to make a difference today? We can look beyond aircraft design and seek out innovations in the way we operate them. And that's where my industry comes in, the invisible bit. The glue, if you like, that sticks all this together, that's air traffic management. And I think we have a really important role in minimising the efficiencies today. Adopting innovative ATM solutions like optimised flight routes and improved airspace management can fast-track fuel savings. One example, between NATS, the UK air traffic company, and Canada, they conducted a organised track structure over the North Atlantic. This track structure currently puts aircraft in single file, 14 miles apart, with heart rates at 30 miles apart, which in today's technology seems rather excessive. So thanks though to the space-based APSB, space-based surveillance is planned to be extended to civil airspace too. Negotiations have opened up time and fuel savings with routes in China, the Middle East and the US, where in the US the FAA has introduced 42 optimised descent profiles which could save, or should save, as much as 2 million gallons of fuel and 18,000 tonnes of CO2 per airport. There's lots of other efficiencies, collaborative decision making. We heard several words earlier this morning, data analytics, directing aircraft on more direct routes. Well, that's all a great start, that's all great. There's only so much actually that air traffic management can achieve alone. Industry-wide collaboration has the power to unlock even greater efficiency gains. So that's one of the premises of Encounter. We've got something called CADENA. It's a lovely acronym. It's saving airlines millions of dollars a year in the Latin America and Caribbean region. The idea behind it? Well, it's a simple set of web conferences and calls between all of aviation stakeholders across that region. In other words, it's the people talking to one another, and the benefits are huge. Picture an event like a hurricane. There's quite a few going on. Your aircraft is unable to reroute, and the costs soon start racking up. Extra nights and so on and so on for crews and compensation for passengers. This talking to one another, this CADENA, helps alleviate those escalating costs by connecting all players at the right time and the right place. During one hurricane event, the US Airlines reported saving over $1 million just for one single event because of the system that was in place. It's all free of charge, it's provided free of charge because it's not about making money. For us, it's just about trying to improve the overall efficiency of the network. Now, there's this potential problem. Operational changes and technology solutions like these require investment. An investment at a time when air navigation service providers, the air traffic management industry, often, understandably, subject to stringent cost efficiency targets. This has resulted in decades of underinvestment in some areas, curbing the ability of the ANSPs to upgrade the systems and recruit the necessary staff. Now, the net result is insufficient ATM capacity, as I've said, something like we're experiencing in Europe this summer. It's a problem. Well, one thing is certain. This continuous cost containment, whilst I understand it is necessary, it will hinder the development of the aviation network in the longer term. Fair targets that balance cost against capacity are required. So whilst ATM cannot decarbonise aviation, we can collaborate with our partners on plans to cut carbon emissions. Innovation, continuous improvement, investments and collaboration are all words that all of us in this room use ourselves and get used in our board meetings. But surely we all have a duty to not just talk about it, but to action it. The power to net zero is challenging, but it is not insurmountable. I truly believe the key to success lies in innovation, pioneering new technologies, processes, business models that will actually ultimately transform aviation, I think, as we know it. As we look to the future, it is clear the journey to net zero will require more than just incremental change. It will demand bold, transformative innovation. We must embrace that. We must embrace the spirit of innovation that has always been the heart of aviation from the beginning. Invest in new technologies, support startups, research initiatives, and advocate for the policies and incentives that will accelerate our progress towards a sustainable future. But this is a challenge that no single company, no single individual can tackle alone. It will require unprecedented collaboration across our entire industry, as well as partnerships with governments, regulators, and technology providers. I think together we have the power to shape the future of aviation, to ensure that it continues to be a force for good in the world whilst protecting the environment we all depend on. So, ask everybody in the room, really silly, really simple, not silly, really bad. Let's commit to the innovation, let's commit to collaboration and leadership. And leadership is the important bit needed to achieve net zero and create a brighter, more sustainable future for us all. Thank you.
Thank you, Simon. You know, I'm always, with Simon, and thought we work very actively together and under the umbrella of International Aviation Forum. We're working together, and collaboration is quite critical in order, as I said earlier, about the aviation chain. Now it's my pleasure to invite Theodore Skiritzis, the president of ATN, to deliver his keynote address. Theodore, before you. Is this working? No? This one? Okay, I'll try to speak as loudly as possible. Okay. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for inviting me once again as a new member. I would like to focus on the human side, on the human pillar. I am from the International Federation of Air Traffic Safety Electronic Associations, which represents all the technical and engineering staff that work in ANSPs, either based on ground or space. Speaking of operational efficiency, I will try to focus on the air navigation services systems and services continuity. So when you have systems available on the ground, everything works in a clockwork. If not, then you have delays. And if you look in the web, you will see that in the latest years, in the last 15 years, we have had more than 50 major ANS systems outages. And of course, these cost a lot of money. Now, I'm talking about billions. We have had in Europe, at least in the northern part, 10 major outages in 12 years. One of them, at least, was a cybersecurity event. So, how are we going to collect data on the outage? Do we have the tools? No. Currently, there is only one tool in Eurocontrol that collects data outages. And quoting on the numbers from, I think, 2019 or 2020, the number of ATF, air traffic management delays, ATFM delays, was 6% attributed to systems outages. So I think there is a room for improvement there. We don't collect this data. So our federation, we had some discussions
in Eurocontrol, Cesar, and some with IATA, we proposed the creation of a key performance indicator for the performance scheme, at least in Europe, where we will collect data with regard to systems outages. I also looked in IATA's event codes, and I've noticed, unless I'm wrong, last time I looked at it, the ATC equipment and LTC inability to provide services due to staff shortage, let's say, are collected in the same identifier. So we need to somehow improve in collecting these data. Now we talk about new technologies, artificial intelligence, automated systems, moving towards full automation, etc. However, we have the old, the legacy systems to look after that sustain our operations and the governments. If we want to proceed into artificial intelligence, then we need the equivalent staff. It was very nice to hear Simon say that we need to recruit the necessary staff. But may I also add that the entry qualifications for the new engineers and ladies that will be joining the air navigation services have to be properly equipped. And there we have a problem. A couple of years ago, we provided to Costas an article on recruiting and retaining talent in the ANS. At the moment, we have a major conflict with the rest of the industry that require people with the same qualifications. You need knowledge of networks, of processing, computers, etc., etc. Classic radio frequency electronics are also needed, but everything is being digitalized at the moment. So we have to have a job on this side of the ANS attractive enough to attract the new people. This is not the case at the moment, and we are facing a shortage of technical staff, the so-called ATSEP, the Air Traffic Safety Electronic Professionals. So at the moment we have a job which is 24/7. You people, us, who have never come into contact with most of you, although you are consumers of our services. Okay? How many pilots have met an engineer who looks after their ILS, for example? And in closing, I would say that we have to think very carefully of how we will attract this new generation and retain them in the ATSEP job, the technical engineering job of the future. That's all I had to say. Thank you very much. Wasn't there?
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Then this concludes the keynote addresses, and as you know from the years now we have the OPS awards, and we increased the number of the awards this year, and the first award is the corporate award in category of airports, and this award this year will go to Fraport Greece. And I'm really pleased to welcome Alexander Chinel, CEO of Fraport Greece, to accept the award. For those of you who don't know, Fraport Greece was created in 2015, and they're responsible for maintaining, operating, managing, upgrading, and development of 14 airports, and one of the airports we're going to visit today is Skiathos, under the operation of Fraport Greece, and they made a fantastic job in preparing the today flight to Skiathos. And of course, for those that remember during COVID times, they managed to conclude and complete the refurbishment of all the airports ahead of schedule. Then, for this reason, we decided to give to Fraport Greece as a huge achievement despite the challenges to obtain this efficiency, that we talk about efficiency, and I would like Alexander to come here to accept the award.
First of all, thank you, Costa, for gracing Fraport Greece with this award. It is indeed an achievement. I must say though that you made us 1 year older than we really are. We were founded, established in 2016, and we started taking over the operations in April 11, 2017. So, you will see, of course, Skiathos Airport. I will tell you a few things, I guess, when we're on the ground. But what is important to know about Fraport Greece is that we took over the airports under a concession agreement, and we only took over the assets. So we had to build up a company that operates 14 airports that are dispersed around the country within basically 9 months. So when I came here in 2016 and when we established the company had 0 employees. I'm proud to say that I'm employee number 7, 007. Our first employee was a Greek lady, our first lawyer, and by now we have about 850 employees, and we are truly a Greek company, although the major shareholder is a German company, Fraport Group, and I am the only foreigner. And you might guess I'm not even German, I'm Austrian. So thank you, Costa, for the award. I hope we'll be able to speak a bit more about the company and what we do later during the day. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alexander. Then we move to the next category, that is corporate award, the airline category. Then this year the winner is Air Arabia, and we have the pleasure to accept the award on behalf of Air Arabia, Adel Ali, the group CEO of the group. For those who don't know, Air Arabia is listed in Dubai finance market. It's a holding company with asset worth with more than 30 billion of dirham, United Arab Emirates currency. Established a modest capital in October 2003. And now it's the first pan-Arab, used to be pan-Arab, now they have also Pakistani branch, and also in Armenia, and low-cost carrier all over the Arab world, from Morocco to Sharjah, Pakistan, Armenia, and for this reason we decided that they have a huge development over the years, and it's our pleasure to invite Adel to accept the award on behalf of his company.
Good morning. Thank you, Kostas. It's nice to be recognized. In case you want to get your calculator, 30 billion is $10 billion. I feel good about the numbers because we started with $10 million and we managed to get it to $10 billion over the period of 20 years. Just like in the airline, we're not in Saudi Arabia. A lot of people think we are Saudi Arabia based. We're UAE based, and 20 years back I felt that the area needed for everybody to travel, and we sort of looked at what happens in this part of the world in Europe, and EasyJets and Ryanairs and Southwest, so we cheated a little bit, copied a little bit of pasting, and we started an airline. As most of us do in this industry, you try and get a couple of broken airplanes and a few people together, and then you grow it. So we got about 80 airplanes a day, and we get about 120. When we're able to deliver it, we'll get those probably next year sometime starting. And as Costa said, it's called Air Arabia because we felt the Arab world were lacking easy transportation. We had a lot of airlines that had government owns and so on. Probably were one of the few, definitely were the first publicly listed company in the Arab world. And everybody owns it, including the employees. And then we looked at, after UAE, we felt that how do you link it? North Africa, we have got a base in Egypt, a base in Morocco, and then we've got one in Pakistan, which operates under a different brand. It's called Fly Jinnah, FJ we call it. We looked at it, it's 2 years old, doing very well. We looked at 240 million people in the population of Pakistan. It can only grow as an aviation. And it's really, it needs a lot of support, a lot of work, but we think the reward will be there once it grows. So that's who we are. I'm here. A, Costas, I can't say no to them. Two, I want to see Skiathos. I was there 22 years ago. So I want to see what has changed. And I also want to fly on E2, because last time I tried to do that, we had it at UAE Sharjah, and beautiful aircraft. We sat on it for 3 hours. And we couldn't take off, not because of the aircraft, because some idiot decided to put a drone in the sky. So the military closed the airspace for 3 hours. So we decided not to. So I'm looking forward to the day. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rado. Today it's your day. I think it's a fantastic day. No wind and fantastic. I hope, inshallah, we'll have a great experience. The last award for this year, it's the organization award, and it will go to Airport Service Association, and will be accepted by Fabio Gamma, the Director General. As you heard from Fabio, the great job they do in the Airport Service Association. Probably one of the things you don't know is that earlier this month they obtained the status of observer in ICAO and then officially recognized as really equal partner with all the other partners in ICAO. And for those who don't know IASA, it's the only international recognized non-profit trade association for the aviation service providers, and include ground handlers, cargo handling, catering, fueling, MRO, and so on. Then I would like Fabio to come and accept the award on behalf of IASA.
Thank you very much, Costas. As ever, it's always a pleasure to be with you and friends. I'm very glad and honored to accept this award on behalf of ASA. As you said, we've just achieved a milestone recently, recognized by ICAO as an international association. That means that we're going to be there in November in Chicago for December for the 80th anniversary of the signing of the Chicago Convention, which is a great achievement. Ground handling is about 1.5 million workers in the world. ASA is representing about 80% of these people, and it's true that it's a part of the business that is not as visible as you may think when you think of aviation, like airports, like airlines, like airline manufacturers, what have you. But it's an essential job. As we like to say, without us there can be no flights. And I'm really greatly honored to accept that on behalf of this wonderful site and millions of people. Thank you very much.
Can I ask the three winners to come with the awards here and to have the family picture, please?
You haven't got an answer yet. It should be.
And now it's my pleasure to invite Pavel Skutelli, that is a regional director for line marketing for Europe, CIS, and for Embraer, to present Embraer, probably also the E2 and all the whole perspective of Embraer.
And since we are in such a historical place, historical city, I think it's good if I start with a short historical background on Embraer. only a few weeks ago, we celebrated our 55th anniversary. And it all started with a very humble beginnings, with a small turboprop aircraft manufactured in Brazil, little crop dusters. And now we have grown to become the third largest aircraft manufacturer in the world. We manufactured more than 8,000 aircraft. Every 10 seconds, Embraer aircraft takes to the sky. And we are present in all parts of the aviation and aircraft manufacturing industry. We are manufacturing commercial jets. We are manufacturing military jets. We are leaders in the small executive aviation market. But we are also developing more innovative platforms like eVTOLs, flying taxis. We are also looking to reduce our carbon footprint. We are developing the solutions that will help us to achieve net zero in 2050. But there are few countries that have a more diverse Embraer operator base than Greece, actually. Because we have a presence here in the commercial segment with E-jets flying for marathon. We have also small turboprops converted to freighters, Brasilias flying for Swifter. We also have executive transport with the RJ135 serving as a VIP transport for Greece. And finally, the Hellenic Air Force is operating Air-99 radars installed on Embraer aircraft. And His Excellency the Ambassador mentioned that Embraer is a source of pride for Brazilians and for Brazil. And I think it's very much justified, because when you think about it, it's really an amazing success story. Because aviation, especially the aircraft manufacturing, is really an industry that is very capital intensive, and it requires a lot of knowledge and a lot of experience. And when you look at our competitors right now, essentially it's only US and combined Europe that is still in this market. Yet we managed to compete and to secure our place. And one of our advantages is our experience and our skilled engineers. When you look at our aircraft portfolio, we are the only OEM that certified and developed 20 aircraft since the beginning of this century. It's more than our competitors. And what is unique for us is that those engineers are working across different platforms. So an engineer that was supporting developments in the military area, he can then help and develop executive jets and then commercial. So the knowledge, the experience is passed to different platforms. And that way, we can design better and better aircraft. But the program that really brought Embraer on the map is the E-jet program. When it was launched, introduced to service in 2004, it was a true revolution in the segment. Because till that point, the regional jets, they were associated with the poor comfort, not very appealing economics, and limited range. And E-jets changed all that. With a comfort equal or better than the larger narrow bodies, good range capability, and sustainable economics, it became a huge success. In 2018, we introduced an improvement to this proven platform, the E2. And all in all, we accumulated 2,200 orders for the time, which makes this type the third most successful commercial jet in history of aviation, just after 737 and A320. And I mentioned that we are the third largest aircraft manufacturer in the world, but we have a very clear specialization. Our focus is on the sub 150 seat segment, and in this segment, we are market leaders with approximately 30% of the deliveries. And it was a success globally. We have a very diversified operator base. There are still more than 90 airlines operating E-jets, flying in more than 60 countries, and 1,500 of them are still in service. And when you look also at their profile, it's a very diverse profile. So the E-jets have been flying to the largest hub in the world, feeding the Atlantas, the Frankfurts, the Amsterdams of the world. But also we have a lot of operators that are flying in one or two aircraft. I would like to bring and show you some highlights from the E2 program that we achieved this year. We have the first E2 flying in the Middle East as of this year, with Royal Jordanian that is feeding its hub in Amman, operating services in Levant. But also, interestingly, those aircraft are flying long sectors to Europe, to Stockholm, for instance, to Madrid, to Amsterdam. So, 3-4-hour sectors. Lot Polish Airlines took delivery last month, the first delivery of day 2. And LOT, of course, is the launch customer of the E1 and second largest operator in Europe. So it's a very, very important sign of confidence. They are saying also on the E2 program. Scoot, an LCC arm of the Singapore Airways, took a delivery of the E190 this year. It's the first time they go with Embraer. And it's very interesting because this shows you also that this aircraft is capable of doing the LCC operations. And some recent orders from Virgin Australia. It's a returning customer that used to fly E1 in the past, and now they decided to go with Embraer again. Mexicana from Mexico plans to expand the international network with the E195 seat. And when we look at the region of Southeastern Europe, last year there were over 140 routes supported by Embraers, both E1s and E2s, operated by 20 airlines. And again, they were doing a very, very diversified operations. Regional flights, Montenegro Airlines, for instance, operating short regional flights with their fleet. Then, E-jets were particularly popular as a hub feeders. KLM, Austrian, Swiss, LOT Polish Airlines, Lufthansa, they were using E-jets to operate the thinner markets to feed their hubs using E-jets. Interestingly, also leisure markets, flights to Zaki, to Corfu, again, shows you that this aircraft is able to perform different operations. And it's also very useful to manage the seasonality when you want to keep the connectivity all the year around. And we know that this region has a very seasonal traffic. So we have a peak in the summer, but then everything goes quieter in the winter season. So if you want to maintain the connectivity throughout the year, very often the operators, they are deploying the larger narrow bodies during the peak season, but then in the low season, they are looking at the smaller segment. And we see relevance of this segment, of the up to 150 seat segment, increasing. All in all, we see more than 10,000 deliveries happening in the next 20 years. There are many routes that will be too small and too thin to be operated with the larger narrow bodies. And with the trends that we see right now to shift the focus of the larger narrow body segment more to the 200-seaters, this gap and those opportunities will be even bigger for us. That's the aircraft that we brought in today. I don't want to go too much into the details. I think there will be a lot of opportunities to discuss it standing in front of the aircraft. But the most important thing that I would like to focus on is that we changed the aircraft significantly. It's not the simple re-engine. We replaced 85% of all the parts and the components on this aircraft. You can notice it's also much larger. It's the largest commercial jet that Embraer has ever manufactured. It can seat up to 146 passengers. And it offers massively improved economics in comparison to the previous generation. When you look at the cost per seat, it's around 27.5 cheaper than the old generation. And we have a growing customer base on our E2 program. We have 18 operators from 18 different countries, five different continents. And again, it's a very diverse portfolio. We see some operators that are using the E2s as a complement to their larger narrow bodies. be it all of the new generation. Azul, for instance, Polish Airlines, KLM. Then we have operators that are growing out of their traditional turboprop operations, Widerøe, Porter. But then we have also operators that are using the E2 as an independent platform, Helvetic. And what is interesting, that we are also exploring markets that were typically not our strongest suit, like the FCC market. I mentioned Scoot already, but we also have orders from Salam, again, an LCC operation. And we are constantly improving our area. We did it on day one. To give you a reference, when you compare the first units out of the line on the E1 program with the last ones, the fuel burn improved by more than 7%. And a few weeks ago, we announced our first major improvement package on the E2 program. We reduced the fuel burn, which of course translates into bigger range. We improved the takeoff performance, we lowered the maintenance costs, and optimized the cabin. So the first fuel burn improvement package. We improved the bleed management system. So now the system extracts less bleed from the engine, which leads to the lower fuel burn. Also, we realized that in the real operations, the aircraft is actually more efficient than we promised and what we were saying. So now we updated the manuals to reflect that. All in all, on the E195 and E192, we decreased the fuel burn by 2.5%, which of course gives you more range, around 400 nautical miles. What does it mean practically for the E2 and for the operations from Athens? It means that almost 98% of the traffic is now within the range of the E2. And I'm talking about the true origin and destination traffic, so all the connections are included as well. So you can essentially serve all the markets except of the very few true long-haul transatlantic flights. But the whole Europe, the Middle East, half of Africa is within the range of this aircraft. We are also improving the maintenance costs on the engine. And one of the characteristics of the new generation of the engine is that the major part of the deterioration of the engine is coming from the climb thrust and not from the takeoff thrust like before. And since we are the lightest platform using this engine, we had an option to reduce the climb thrust and to optimize. So now with this optimized climb thrust, the time on wing is increasing by 10%. And Aegis have been long known for having the best takeoff performance among all the commercial jets. When you look at the runway limited airports, London City, Florence, Santos Dumont in Rio, you see that the majority of the operations are performed with Aegis. But now we improve the aircraft even further. We are introducing the auto takeoff system, and it's going to be the first commercial jet that is using something like that. And this system is optimizing the rotation moment, and it allows you to increase the takeoff weight of the aircraft. Practically, it means that you get the performance of the high thrust engine, but with the standard thrust engine and this system. So for instance, for an airport like London City, while using the standard thrust engine with the enhanced takeoff system, or E2TS as we call it, you get 350 nautical miles of extra range. So all those changes, all those improvements that we did, it all translates to the improved economics of the aircraft. And we know that now most of the airlines, they are looking at CASK as the key metrics in the industry. This is the focus, right? And traditionally there was always a gap between the smaller jets, like the E1, and the larger narrow bodies. We always had an advantage on the cost per trip level, but there was a gap, 15-20% on cost per seat level. But with the E2, we managed to close that gap. We still have a massive 25% cost advantage on cost per trip level, but cost per seat level, the gap has been reduced to the low single digits. So about the value proposition for the region. First of all, for us, it just serves as an aircraft that can improve the connectivity to support the hubs in the places where the frequency is key and not the volume. And you have to remember that connectivity is always built on frequency, it's not built on volume. So you can develop a convenient schedule with satisfying number of flights per week, per day. Then a new routes opener. Of course, an aircraft that has lower cost per trip always gives you more possibilities to find new markets, to maintain them. And finally, the region has been traditionally very seasonal. So by adding more flexibility to the size of your fleet, you always can try to manage this. You can deploy the aircraft to the markets that see lower demand, for instance, during the winter to complement the narrow body operations, and you can swap them with the turboprops on the smaller end of the spectrum. Thank you. I hope you will enjoy the flight and we will get a chance to talk about the aircraft more in front of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Pavel, for the very interesting presentation. Then, as Pavel said, that we have the opportunity to experience the real bird, the aircraft, the A2. I was there on Saturday when I arrived. It was really amazing looking, and I'm a great spotter. Then it's really amazing outside looking, but amazing inside looking. Then we have this experience to scout. Then we move to our leaders panel. Then I will ask my fellow co-moderator, Professor Andreas Marek, to join me. And we have in the panel Adel Ali, Yuri Marek, Adel Ali from Sea of Air Arabia, Yuri Marek, the Sea of Air Serbia, Alexander Chinel, that is the Sea of Fraport Greece, and Panagiotis Siskos, the Chief Operating Officer of Aegean Line Olympic Air. Please.
And it's an honor to have all these distinguished panelists in front of me. As you know, the topic is operational efficiency. I'm not an engineer, I'm an economist, and when we talk about efficiency, what comes to mind is not only technical aspects, but also aspects related to economics, management, and marketing. And as we all know, COVID-19 had a devastating effect on the business ecosystem. Now COVID is behind us. That's certainly good news. But airlines, airports need to somehow deal with all the wounds. So they have to take measures in order to increase their profitability and make up for the huge losses that they accumulated during this pandemic. So talking about profitability, it's very simple. What you need to do is to raise your revenue. You need to reduce your costs. Some of the measures that you may take may inevitably result in a loss of customer satisfaction. And in the short term, that's okay, because people were confined during the pandemic, and then we have what we call pent-up demand. We have what we call revenge tourism. People want to go outside, enjoy themselves. So they may be okay with sort of experiencing a bit of delays or issues with high prices, but in the longer term, we're getting back to normality. We get back to an environment characterized by lots of competition. So customer centricity becomes of essence, and I think that operational efficiency is the key word here, because operational efficiency can help us become more reliable, become more profitable, but not to the expense of customer centricity. So I'd like to welcome you once again here, representing airlines, but also airports. And question that I would like to put forward is about the importance of operational efficiency. In your case, how do you perceive operational efficiency, and how would you relate operational efficiency to customer centricity and customer satisfaction in the longer term? Also taking into consideration that in many cases things are outside the direct control of an airline or an airport. So, Mr. Radvarelli, shall we start with you?
Yes, yeah, of course. Thank you. I guess you picked me up because we operate through all the difficult airports in the world and difficult countries. Having said that, that was, I think, history. Because I found that European airports are more difficult and more challenging. Your word was right, COVID is behind us, and it continues to be. It's not going away. And while the disease probably has, but the consequences of that is not. We just hear that airports are getting about 80% turnover of the people, and then finding new people is another hassle. The supply chain of spares is in a mess, and if you get a piece that works, it's very good. Technology, I think, has done its bit, in my opinion. It's been very good. A lot of technologies has been put into place, but ultimately, you have got the practical, the basic needs to work. The speed, the efficiency of ATM that Simon counters running there. We're running it, and then airport capacity itself. Some technology airports we've seen immigration processes so well and so good that you just look into screens and you walk through. Others, you could be standing for hours. In one of European airports, I actually I saw the whole World Cup final at the immigration queue. Right? I'm glad I did, because I wouldn't have known where would I see it in a taxi. But that was a true experience. And I decided not to opt for the fast track. Otherwise, I would have been there forever. Right? And those sort of challenges continues to increase. One thing that the industry has done fantastic over the years, and we stopped talking about it, is the safety. Because it's a very safe industry now. Such a forum, we have all would have been discussing how safe. I can't recall the last forum anywhere that we talked much about safety. So we're very happy with that. But I think numbers are increasing from a passenger point of view. I think efficiency is taken backwards. Well, probably the industry was more efficient pre-COVID than now. And how do you move it forward? It's quite a segmented industry. Too many people on all different pieces. How do you put them together? Not an easy one.
Thank you very much.
Hello everyone. I concur many things which was mentioned, because I think that after COVID we heard a lot of back to normality, but I think there is no normality in aviation especially. And I'm explaining my friends that managing the airline is like playing the Tetris. We have a lot of problems falling, and every day you just try to put them in order that the bars is not reaching the top. And you ask about the efficiency, and I fully agree that it's not now about the efficiency, it's actually go back to the basics and fix the basics. Because before COVID there was a lot of outsourcing, and especially what we see after the COVID with this pent-up demand, not every part of the supply chain was able to cope with the speed of recovery. So you might be fast recovering airline, but the airport is much slower down, or vice versa, or on the handling side. So I think that efficiency is nice to talk about, but first, especially in front of the eyes of the customers, which always see the airline. They don't see the whole supply chain. So whatever problem will be in a fast track at the airport immigration, they always will blame at the end of the day the airline. So what we are strongly focusing now as the airline, that we have to take control of the supply chain back into our hands. So we are now exploring a lot of JV options, like where we have some small share with the ground handling and so on, trying to closely cooperate with the airport, because the secondary effect of the COVID is mostly, let's say you have either monopoly providers at the airport itself is monopoly, you cannot move your hub, so everybody increase the cost. it's okay if they increase the cost as long as it's going hand in hand with improve the service, which is not the case. And then this is fundamentally important to the eyes of the customer that we work as an ecosystem, which is not at the moment what is happening. So that's our main focus for this year and for the years coming forward.
I would like to offer the airport perspective. I think I'm cornered here by airlines. So. Now, as Fraport Greece, we are doomed to efficiency for one fact that we operate 14 airports. We will have this year 36 million passengers. That's quite a substantial number, but compared to airports of similar size, we operate 14 times the infrastructure. So we have 15 runways, 14 terminal structures, 14 times the staff. So, and our revenues are capped by the concession agreement. The fee that we can charge to a passenger under our regulated aeronautical fee structure is 18.5, indexed to 2013. So, and that will never change throughout the concession period. On the contrary, it will actually reduce over time because we cannot adjust by the full inflation factor every year. So, from a charging or cost perspective, it's very simple and very clear to the airlines. You will always pay the same amount. In real terms, it's actually going to decrease. So this is our revenue potential is limited by that. So the only way it can increase is by having more passengers. And of course some commercial revenues, but the ratio between commercial and aeronautical revenue is actually 80 aeronautical and 20 non-aeronautical. That's actually because the concession agreement works the way it works. So for us, operational efficiency means centralizing whatever we can and have only the basic operational crews that we need at the airport. Everything else, HR, commercial, legal, technical, everything is centralized. Everything else is local. And now, after having rebuilt and adjusted capacity at the airports by 50%, we increased the terminal space by 50%. But the strong increase, since we started operation at actually 42%, from 25 million to 36 million, now we are starting the second phase of capacity expansion and a big push in installing technology, biometrics, robotics, self-services. Otherwise, we cannot cope with the increase in passengers, especially because we are very, very seasonal. So lots of challenges from our side, but we are tackling this with technology and capacity expansion.
Okay, another airline perspective. We're trying to be efficient by managing complexity, actually. And Aegean, right now, 25 years after it was established, it's a complex operator. We have 3 air operator certificates, 83 aircraft, different types, turboprop and jet operation. And we're operating in a complex, definitely, environment. Difficult airports within Greece and abroad. And obviously, this is just the internal complexity. Now we're talking about ATC and the seasonal effect that has to our operation. And we're the ones that are hurting the most because of ATC capacity limitations, especially here in Greece, and also airport capacity, along with handling capacity. And the handling capacity, we all know it's more like staffing and training, etc. So what we do is we're trying to manage this complexity, and it's always managing the various components of that complexity. Well, safety is not something, for me especially, being responsible for the operational side, it's not something that it's number 2. So it's always protection versus production. And the complexity itself creates issues that we have to manage, not just for efficiency, but for safety as well. How can we improve? How the system can improve? I think by improving each and every component. We cannot do it alone, and we're really dependent on airports, on ATC, on handling, and the whole regulatory environment to be able to operate 83 aircraft and 14,000 flights a month, especially in the summertime. Thank you.
Thank you, Panagiotis. Well, in my opening remarks, I said about data, not be based on the experience. Then, do you use data in order to improve your efficiency?
Yeah, I think that there are obviously efficiency is quite a wide sort of range. Internal company efficiency, and we all try to use data, improve it, cut wherever possible, enhance efficiency within people's productivity, aircraft utilization, fuel burn efficiency. All those sort of things are within your control, you can do. And I think us and most of the airlines in today's environment do, because there's a lot of good systems to help you to achieve those things. And that's perfect. Everything that you save, you burn it as a result of inefficiency in other industries. That does not help you. So, you know, you push back with one engine, and then you start your second engine, and then you wait for 45 minutes to take off. It's not good for sustainability, it's not good for the crew, it's not good for anything, anybody, right? It's those sort of things. It's when you get your spurs are the same issues, well then sometimes control of immigration is not within the airline at all. And a lot of illogical things tend to take place. Where for one passenger that is not allowed to be in the country, the immigration officer holds the whole airplane for 3 hours with 200 passengers on it, because the decision in that particular airport is no, everybody who come in will not allow them, has to go back, despite they having the right documentation. So those sort of things continues to increase, not decrease. And I don't think whether it's, we talked last night, it's a lot about our custodian called IATA to protect the airlines of such things, does not seem to be existing, in my opinion. Yeah.
Well, I think that every airline has multiple data in. The question is what to do with it, and especially being the legacy airline, we are 97 years old, where we see the problem is that historically the airline usually developed as a standalone within the states, at least smaller states, and the most difficult was actually benchmarking. So if you have the internal data, different department measures their data, they tend to believe that they are the best in what they do, because they've been never challenged if those data are good enough. And where we see the problem is actually to open the eyes of the people and do the benchmarking and best practice sharing. That it's not only that we measure the data, but what is the target, what we want to achieve. And that's the main, I would say, kind of problems if you have the employees which only grow within the certain organization and certain airline, because it's not like, you know, in a country, for example, you have multiple banks. If one bank implements something new, you just go and headhunting, take the other person, and you just copy paste the things. Historically, in the 50s, 60s, 70s, it was not so easy in a state airlines that you can just, you know, you had only one and you cannot take from the other state. Now obviously it's much more different, but I think that's mindset is still there, that we know the things how to do the best, and that's in order to improve efficiency, that's what we try to challenge.
As you said, and I've been different countries around the globe, then we talk about also the data serving. Then, you know, all the companies have data, but then when it is the discussion about serving, they're a little bit more skeptical, you know, that probably, you know, in a certain extent, some information we don't want to share with the other, but some other that might help improve the industry. Then, what's your opinion about the data sharing before I ask this question to the line? So,
well, I think that's never-ending question. And passenger, is it done by airline or is it done by airport? And I think that's always coming back down to the commercial discussion. Like, if we deliver the passengers to the airport and we motivate to spend more times in a duty-free, should we get a share of that revenue there and so on? So I think it's never-ending discussion there. But back to the beginning, actually, if you change it that we put the customer in the center, actually nobody owns the customer, and we have to make sure that all of us serve the customer well, including the security control, immigration, everybody. Because what also is missing after the COVID, that the traveling is fun. Before COVID, to travel it was fun, and now actually it's rather a nightmare, especially in the summer. And I think we have to jointly as the industry to make it back that the traveling will be again fun.
I think you put the finger on the topic data sharing. We since many years we are discussing with the airlines to share data for the simple reason that we don't know the passengers that are coming to our airport. You know them, you have their names, you have their phone numbers, contact numbers, and so forth. And especially when we face disruptions, it's very difficult for an airport to communicate with a set of passengers. If the airline doesn't do it, 200 people would show up at our airport and don't know what's going to happen. And then, of course, the blame lies with the airport, because the airport cannot handle the situation. Although, you will see, Seattle is a prime example. It's a very small airport, and it has very peaky operations. We have literally days without any flight during the winter, and we're very busy in the summer. So when we have passengers coming to the airport, but for some reason the aircraft isn't around or is delayed, they are blocking our gates. They are blocking in the sense that we don't know where to put them, simply because we're so small. You will see it later on. So data sharing would help a great deal to enhance the customer experience throughout the journey. But I understand the commercial considerations. And also, probably more importantly, the data privacy considerations. Very difficult to share and collect and maintain data. We see it now. We are trialing, and we will move to biometrical, boarding, and also biometrical access to the security area, where nowadays you still have to scan, or somebody will scan your boarding pass. We actually, because of GDPR considerations in Europe, this may not concern some of the panelists here, but we actually cannot maintain biometric data at the airport. So every time there's a journey, the passenger needs to create a so-called token, which will then be used only for this one journey, and then it will vanish. There's a lot of additional burden created by data protection laws, also by new developments such as the European entry system, which will create havoc once it's going to be live, where passengers that are non-EU members need to register before they fly into Europe. This system is not tested, completely outdated by the time it's going live, and it will create massive disruptions at all border entry points. Not only airports, ports, land crossings. It will just be a major failure. And I think the 1 hour or 2 hours you spend in the queue watching the finals, Euro Cup finals, that will be paradise compared to what we're going to see.
It will be extra time penalty.
Extra time.
Yeah, data. Do we have data? Definitely, we have data. And do they tell a story? They definitely tell a story as well. Whether that's operational, commercial, customer satisfaction. Even in training, we have very large set of data on the soft side of performance as well. Now, can we fix things based on the data we have? It's not just up to us. We need to take an incremental approach with all layers, just to be able to gain a little bit. I will tell you an example. we hire pilots or cabin crew, and then for them to get an airport ID, it will take now, with increased security, 3 months. What do we do with these people? Do we, no. So what do we do with them? Do we keep them 3 months without having them operating? Do we, what do we do? So this is just a small example of things that the system needs to be doing to get this efficiency level that we all want. Thank you.
Thank you. So I think the discussion is really interesting. We've heard about shorter supply chains, perhaps doing things in-house instead of outsourcing where possible. We discussed about data sharing. What about CDM, collaborative decision making? Do you think it's important in the context of increasing efficiency? Is it just a buzzword, or is it really possible for the different stakeholders to work together?
That's a touchy subject. So we started CDM in Athens since February, and it doesn't work, actually. Well, the intention was good, it's there, but there's still a lot of things missing from the system. The idea is good, I really support it, I've seen it being used as advertised in many airports. But when we introduce it, we need to make sure we have the components, the technology, and the procedures that will allow the system to increase efficiency.
May I just, I think we're sitting in the same boat when it comes to collaborative decision making. Now, one of the things that are really missing here in Greece, maybe the elephant in the room or the tower over there, it is simply investment and investment in people and equipment of air traffic control. I think we know that the ANSHA, or the other Hellenic Civil Aviation Authority, EPA, which is responsible for air traffic control, is doing a terrific job, but the equipment is completely outdated. It needs a lot of investment into technology, into upgrading, and of course into people. And because the rest of the industry moved on, we have privatized airlines, we have very well and efficiently run airports managed by the private sector. I think this is the element that needs now a big push from the government, so that they can live up to the task. And I think only then, collaborative decision making starts making sense. We have a situation in Zakynthos, one of our very popular airports, where the flight information region is managed by the Hellenic Air Force, and we regularly see planes getting startup permission, they taxi to the runway, and then they sit there for 20 minutes, burning fuel, waiting for the Hellenic Air Force to give them takeoff clearance. So we have, even at the air traffic control side, we have two different bodies managing airspace and not coordinating well between each other. And especially when we're looking now at CO2 and decarbonization, as airports, we have, Fraport has set the target to be net zero by 2045. We can spend billions on making our airports CO2 neutral or net zero, but what does it do if 95% or more of the aviation CO2 production is by actually kerosene? And there's much more efficiency in the air traffic management or airspace management than we could ever generate by making everything electrical at our airport. So I think collaborating is good and it's a nice word, but we need everyone to be at the same level in order to make this really work.
So thank you. I think the intention of calibrating obviously it helps. Who are the stakeholders? And the industry, at each airport, so many different stakeholders. And the ultimate objective of each stakeholder is very different. Ironically, with no technology days, you used to have a piece of paper, you put 2 pieces, 20 kilos of baggage. It used to take 2 minutes to check in and get to the aircraft within 5 or 10 minutes because everything was manual. Now, before you book online, you put so much information in the system, the check-in process actually takes longer as well if you go to the check-in. Then even your underwear sizes are in the system. Yet you go to immigration. You then take a long time to go through the process. Most of the information that you fit in for the arrival airport, the arrival queues are worse. And I think airports and airlines seems to sort of try and work together because both have the same objective. Most of the challenges come when it gets down to areas that is beyond the control of people who want more people to be processed. And the answer is profitability. So the airport, the more people come, the more profit they make. The airline, the more people they carry, more profit they make. The restaurants have the same functions in the airports. It's when you then get to those people who do not want to do that. Their objectives are very different. It could be state security, it could be customs, it could be immigrations, or the guys who are checking your baggage for you, how many grams of toothpaste you have and are you allowed or not in your handbag. So all those sort of things complicates the issue. And I think we get into an era that congestions at the airport, of course, because passengers are increasing, investment required. Who is supposed to put that investment? And then when you want to put it in, what do you get in return for it? And I think how we're going to get all the stakeholders to agree that something needs to be done, that's the challenge. I mean, Athens Airport, I find it pretty good. We operate about 45 airports in Europe, and I find, relatively speaking, probably apart from the peak summer, Athens is pretty good. My experience at least has been.
I mean, a lot of things have been said on this matter. What I'm rather wondering if we have also here some representative of different industry association. So I wonder if you guys who are organizing conference, you sometimes having these brainstorming session and coming up with these new buzzwords in order that the conferences will be still too attractive to talk about. So I see it as more like the buzzword because we have so many topics through the last, let's say, 20, 30 years, which we never actually implemented. It was discussed on multiple conferences. When it become boring, we create usually the new buzzwords to talk about. So, I mean, for example, CO2 and all these, open sky, you know, I believe my children and their children will be talking about it. It will never happen. Since there was this NDC from Miata, new distribution capability, we internally call it nothing does change. So, you know, it's always, you know, CO2 sustainability stuff. There is always so many things to talk about, but we never take one and deliver it actually to the end. And I think it's also going in the direction that there is no enforcement on this. And I think the biggest example was during the COVID, nice ideas like, you know, travel pass or some standardizations, that same border controls, same rules everywhere. It was just a jungle. It was just a nightmare. And I think that's a great example that if we haven't been able to manage through the crisis like COVID, how do you expect we will do something like that in the normal times?
If I just may, I've been for a long time saying this industry has got a lot of associations which have fantastic intention, people who have been understand the industry, they want to do the right things. But it hasn't got an umbrella order. Because it doesn't have an order, a lot of good ideas, good things said at conferences everywhere. But the ownership to implement is the challenge. And I don't know who owns the industry today.
Well, speaking together with Simon and Fabio, part of IAF, that's what we try to do, the collaboration between the different stakeholders. You know, it's not easy sometimes to reduce the ego of some organization or some people, because we have to work together at the end. Well, no, you said, the thing is, no, it's not only, I mean, it's a little complicated. I mean, you have to make that everyone is the leader, but then, you know, everyone is needed. That will happen. Otherwise, some they understand better, some not. Then, if we don't work together, you know, we celebrate the 8th anniversary in 3 months from now in Chicago. But the things, what those people achieved back in 1944 was visionary. But we have to find a way now to see the future. Things change from that time. Then we have to adjust to the new reality, and we have to implement new things. I mean, you were talking yesterday evening here, talking about this international organization, IATA, but many low costs are not there, and they don't cover all, let's say, the airlines of the world. Then we need to find a way to work together. And this, you know, from the start, from the morning, we talk about collaboration, and you know, sometimes, and we talk about this efficiency. That we need to find this efficiency. Moving to a question, then. By the way, is there any question from the floor? If you want someone to ask or make any statement, I don't know. Simon?
Why are you looking at me?
I don't know.
The CDM thing, I suppose. I have a comment about CDM. It is a buzz phrase. It's a phrase that gets chucked around all the time, and I agree with all of the panelists in terms of it's about sharing. It's about talking to one another in the simplest terms, but it's about sharing information, and then sharing. I always find that our industry has the most information of most other industries around the world, but we don't like sharing it.
Yep.
You know, or the systems don't talk to one another. It's in a slightly different format, on a slightly different language. From an airline perspective, often it's commercial, so you don't want to share certain information. Some of it, you don't want to share certain information, not with everybody else, because that's a really difficult, you know, that's competitive. You've got airports that have lots and lots of information, but find it difficult to share it with all the different partners for reasons around technology and investment and so on. And then we have air traffic that has an awful lot of information, and they just talk to themselves. So, you know, that doesn't get wider shared. We got lots of phrases, swim and you know, system-wide information management. It just means we should be sharing information with each other and having that trust framework. I think with cyber and everything else coming in, it's getting more and more complex. Having that security, safety and security, which I think are starting to become more converged. If we can get that right, then actually it's just about adding value to the information that you've got. And we are not very good at that. We really aren't. The information is there, we should share it, it's then what we do with it. So it's a big challenge.
Guys, thanks Simon. Then as we speak about challenge, and what do you believe will be the next big challenge for the operation side, for the industry?
I think the biggest challenge we're already facing these days is how to attract actually the next generation, for that there is still some value in the normal jobs like engineering and so on, because I think that's the growing problem, which is still now a bit hidden behind the carpet, but I think the next generations this will be the biggest question.
Yeah, I think I echo that. People is going to be the challenge. I think we're going to get more people who want to travel, but we'll have no people to serve them. And whether it's technical or airports or on the other, nobody wants to work for us anymore. Or nobody wants to work in general. Right? That's reality. So that's going to be the challenge. From our perspective, I think aircrafts are going to be the challenge for the next 10 years. Those good ones like Rare E2s probably they need to enhance their delivery lines. But with the problem with Boeing, the Airbus challenges, engine challenges, I think it's going to be with us for a good 10 years. Demand increasing, the aircrafts are getting older, CO2 pressures are on us, no aircraft. So those two people, aircraft are going to be the challenge, in my view.
I agree totally with both of you, so I'll offer another challenge for the bucket list. One is certainly, and I mentioned it earlier on, is airspace management, not only in Greece. I mean, I was talking about Greece earlier, but this, I think, is true for all of Europe, and harmonizing and making things the single sky. I think it will not be, we will not see it, but there is still hope. And the other challenge for me is literally politics. As Fraport Group, if I see the biggest impact we had on our industry from an economic perspective, financial perspective, was really triggered by geopolitics. We operate pretty much around the world. We operate St. Petersburg. We have a share in St. Petersburg Airport, so I don't need to speak more. We have seen passengers in Thessaloniki. We lost 1 million passengers in 22 because Ukraine, Russia, and Belarus traffic fell apart. We had massive losses at Antalya Airport, which is part of the group, after Turkey shut down a Russian aircraft and Putin decided to ban Russian travelers to Turkey. And so the pandemic, these border closures that basically shut down only European traffic, not US traffic, not Russian traffic, not maybe China a bit more. But so there's a lot of political decision making that really is a big challenge. And now we have, I mentioned the European entry system. I just read that the UK is now building their own entry system. So every country, every bloc will now have their own entry system where you have to register and pay, and I mean it's tough. And then from a German perspective, from German politics, actually they're very happy that air traffic is only at 85% of pre-COVID. They love it because they think that people shouldn't travel. So if you remember the Green Deal from the EU, where they say yes, no, we need to make air travel more expensive so that people fly less. What does that do to Europe as a concept if you cannot travel anymore? I mean, I'm Austrian, I have family in Germany, my girlfriend is in London. So what does it mean for mobility and also for people mobility in Europe if these policies are implemented? I think that's very dangerous. Not even thinking about the effects that this has for countries at the EU periphery, such as Greece, depending on tourism. If you increase, in Germany, politics don't want to hear about it. They don't even want to be seen with representatives of the aviation industry. They don't want to be in photos with them because we're bad people. We are the bad people. No, it's true. So I think this is one of the, apart from all the right things that you mentioned, this is one of the biggest challenges.
Yeah, definitely air traffic control and airspace management, and this, I think for this part of the world, is the most challenge, the largest challenge we have right now, along with airport capacity. But personnel, competent personnel is right there with the two. What we've done in Aegean, we've invested in very generous scholarships for the pilot side and also for technicians. And we managed to find people, especially after COVID, because we had these programs. So I think the solution is for the airlines to step in and try to be more active in trying to recruit and also to train, educate the future specialized personnel that they need.
Great, so obviously the big issue is to be aware of all these challenges, make sure that the industry does not become a victim of its own success as a result of different capacity constraints. So capacity management is very important, pilot management is very important. Talking about all these issues in Germany, for example, I'm looking forward to seeing the possible reaction vis-à-vis the new report by Mario Draghi, who raise all these important issues, including connectivity and the need to be serious about infrastructure. But as we're approaching the end, just a few final takeaways from each of you, just a few words.
Okay, since this is an Embraer presentation, I would say that Aegean actually started in 1999 flying a regional jet, the Aero 100. It had 4 engines, 2 more that we needed, but nevertheless, they helped us be what we are right now. And we have quite a few of my colleagues flying now the Turbo for the regional, and they'll be very happy to fly the Embraer and go to an airport that they know very well. Thank you for inviting us.
Well, I think we all agree, mostly agree on most of the problems, and I share the view that it's difficult to really. I think it's all out there, but how can we really tackle them? I guess we need to reinforce the representation of the aviation industry as such. Not sure if it's a very efficient example, but in Germany there is an association that unites both airports and airlines and let's say the aviation industry in order to speak with one voice towards politics. Here we have a very good relationship with our colleagues from Aegean and also Sky Express, but I think the representation of the aviation industry in Greece as such could be better, and maybe then our voice would be better heard.
No, thank you for getting us together. I think it's always good. I mean, collaboration. This is part of it, and hearing each other is good. If nothing, one gets it off the chest. We've done that today. The industry for me will continue to grow. Certainly post-COVID there's going to be a lot of people who want quality of life, and travel is quality of life. We are the enabler. We just need, as we talked all the way through, to work together to enable people to travel. Despite what Germany thinks of not taking a picture with us, I think we've got to convince them that, trust me, an F-16 generates much more CO2 every time it takes off than about 10 other airplanes. So the problem is somewhere else.
I'll just go back to that message which I meant, that as an industry we need to return back the fun to the traveling. And I will use an example. Some years ago when the social media started, I saw some funny posts in some Swedish company in the headquarters, which was like, in case of the fire, evacuate the building before posting on the social media. And I think that's what we see at the moment also as the industry, is that whenever something goes wrong, airport, security, airlines delay and so on, the amount how quickly this goes on social media and became kind of, negative snowball effect is just not helping to people understand what is exactly happening, and they concentrate more on that posting rather than searching for that information. So I think that the main message would be like to try as a jointly as an industry to make the reasons that the people actually post it and make the positive comments and they enjoy the flying again.
If I may, given that I'm a non-European person in this room, a couple of things we may need to talk more about. One is, I don't know if we've got a French person in the room. If we do, please tell the French government not to charge airlines for fuels that they don't have it, yet they're penalizing us to pay more, right? So SAF, it doesn't exist, and they find you why you're not carrying it. Because their carrier decided to buy all the existing fuel in their country. And I think the second one is if guys tell Brussels not to get us to pay 400 euros for passengers who pays 50 euros for a fault that we have not done. ABC is not my problem. Thank you.
Well, joining and thanking the panelists, I think it was a really nice interaction. We arrived on time because we have a little bit tight schedule. I took notes, what we have discussed here, and also in IF with Simon and Fabio. that we need to collaborate and work together, and also the message to be heard, because it's also the thing that is missing in our industry. As also having media, I'll do my part to make it as public as possible. Then in the future you're going to see we're working again under IF to promote aviation to the society. Now then we have a concept of aviation forum, not only for those traveling, but to understand everyone aviation is critical in the modern society. I would like to thank all of you to be here today. This concludes the Ops Forum, and I would like to thank Embraer also for being a part of this, and also for giving us the opportunity to see and experience the E2 a little bit later today. The weather is fantastic, and join lunch and see you. We have to leave at 1:15 from here to go downstairs, because we need to take the bus to go to the German aviation terminal. Will be the boarding to the flight. Then one last thing, I will ask, as you know me, the Costografia, then I will ask all of you to come and have a family picture. Take one picture, just the panelists, and then come all of you to have the family picture.